Good morning. We'll start the Finance Committee. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes for the November meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Steve Sprague, you want to talk about the sales tax? What's going on there?
Yes, Mayor, we have this is now through November. We haven't gotten December's yet. But if you remember back in October, things were not looking as good as we wanted to, and things have rebounded here now with a strong November. And so now we're back up to a 5.3 year-over-year growth.
So this is good news. Should do
This
well
is
for
good
the
news. Yep,
conversion
let's
and money,
hope that December
money for
ends.
us, for streets, and
More for everybody.
good. Budget adjustment, fire department recruits. Steve Dirksen to explain.
Good morning. Through the budget for 2024, we had 15 firefighters were approved. And the timing of how the approval was basically for 6 months of salaries. Well, in order for us to do 15 new employees, we have to split that up a little bit. And in order to do it in a timely manner, we needed to have 3 of them start in March and then have the other 12 start in July. That didn't allow us enough budget money for what was budgeted for those 15. We could have done it a different way, but then we wouldn't be looking at opening Station 8 until January of 2025. And I just got the latest Gantt chart from the project general contractor, and we're looking at the station's probably going to be ready in early August. So we're going to be about 2 to 3 months ahead of schedule, the way it looks. So it still won't allow us, we won't have the people hired yet to open it in the beginning of August, but this will allow us to open it in October going forward with that. But we do need a slight budget adjustment for $82,996. And the good thing is through the budget of this last year, we saw more money come into the city from the insurance premium tax to the tune of about $502,000 that we weren't expecting. And we anticipate that that same amount next year, although Susan has accounted for in the 2024 budget now an increase in that revenue side, but we should see an increase in revenue again next year through that account.
Susan, you think you can cover this with that money, or?
We do. While we were doing the budget process, Steve had gotten an indication that he was going to receive more money than he previously had. So we weren't exactly sure, so we didn't budget the full amount for this year. So there'll be a margin that will cover the difference of those officers.
Cover the difference.
When we did the budget, we didn't drill down to exactly the timing of your training and when to start. So it was just an estimate of half. So this makes sense, and there's budget monies to cover it.
Any other discussion, questions? Do you have a motion?
That's a move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Well, that's a nice little deal that you got that extra money. Are you going to get that money every year? at
We
insurance
should.
fund?
It should be about the same amount next year. And we've got it as a continuing appropriation, so we don't have to go back to the legislature and ask for it.
Okay.
So it'll just automatically be whatever's collected will get run back on the percentage that the citizens of Fargo pay into the accounts.
And if we grow as a city, does it slowly go up?
It varies every year. We continue to grow because people continue to pay insurance premiums, but the percentage that we get fluctuates quite a bit. But they took the North Dakota Firefighters Association out of that payment fund and put them into a different fund. So now we get all of the money, our percentage of that money that was going there as well. So
So if you have more fires, you get less money?
no.
Oh, okay. Get more people, you get more funding into it.
Yep.
Inflation. You also want to talk to us about capital fund rollover?
Yep. So I've talked with, I think most of the commissioners are aware of our issue at Fire Station 5. We had an issue there. The building is settling and turning and tipping the walls. And we started some work with that this summer. I was here, I think it was either August or September, and asked for some funds that we had left over in our capital account to be reallocated to hire the architect and engineering firms to begin the work on that, and that's where that $66,000 came from. we had that savings in a project that we had. The bid, our initial estimate in the budget was $65,000. It came in at $25,000. So we were happy with that. So we had a $40,000 savings. We were unable to, during the year, had some concrete replacement that we weren't able to do because we couldn't get a contractor. Quite honestly, they didn't want to do the little jobs. And so we have that money that we didn't spend this year. And then we had another $10,000 that we were going to have an architect come and look at some space at the public safety building on how that could be how we can utilize that for our EOC. And then on the capital equipment side, because of the issues at Station 5 that we were having, we didn't purchase some washing extractors for our turnout gear that we had intended, because we said, well, we need to have that, but we're going to need to fix this building first. Well, we're pushing along, and we do really need to get some extractors purchased. And so we'd just like to roll that equipment over into next year to get those purchases made. And then we probably will have some funds left over that we could designate toward the Station 5 fix, whatever that's going to be when we get to that and we get those numbers.
So basically, it's a budget adjustment, but it's to our side of having some money, but we'll eventually have to spend it on 5 anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just rolling it over and letting us push it towards those accounts for next year.
Any questions of the chief? Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Budget adjustment, substance abuse prevention. Desi Fleming.
Actually, we're going to have Melissa take these first two.
Okay?
So we have an agreement from the North Dakota Department of Health and Human Services. This is a grant we've had a few years running, except the previous ones were pretty small, and we didn't expect any more funding to come in, but we got one. This 187 is for 3 years. It is paid based on activity done, and so we don't expect and can't qualify for a few things. So we are doing a budget adjustment for 2024 to add 27,000 to the revenue. It doesn't affect the expenses at all because it's done by staff.
Okay. Do you want to talk your second item too, the 100,000?
Sure, it's kind of the same scenario. Grant funding that has been coming. Again, we never know what we're going to get for sure, and if we're going to get anything at all. And I didn't want to put 277 in and not get it, so we had a number in there, and we need to increase for 2024, 100,000.
Very good. Do I have a motion for those 2 items, please?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public health, Desi Fleming, Public Health Infrastructure Workforce Grant.
Yep, so you have my information in front of you with my proposal. The Public Health Infrastructure Grant is really narrowly focused, really the main components being recruitment and retention and building our public health workforce. So this proposal for us is to help stabilize our current workforce. We've worked with HR on this process for any policy guidance and have received approval from the state grants manager as well for this expenditure. So with that, I ask for your approval.
Why are they waiting till February 9th to pay it
Because it would be in for 2024.
for
Yep,
2020?
that was just a date that we selected.
Any questions? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
There's a second.
I'll second.
You know, this is really a retention grant, basically, just like the COPS grant had that. Chief, that one pretty well doing it. The guys already get it, guys and gals?
That's going on their January 26th check.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Hi.
Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good. Request to overfill personnel position. Chief came here and said Stanowitz, so must be
He's a
important.
little under the weather. Yes, but it is important. As everyone's aware, we've been working very hard over the past couple of years to get our staffing, to get our department at full staffing. We did get recently that grant to add 6 new positions, which is outstanding. We've increased our academy frequencies to 2 a year. We've really been working hard to recruit and retain, and I think we've been doing very well in that arena. So we've got our nose tipped out of the water, but in order to get our head above water, We really need the ability to take advantage of our known or anticipated vacancies. It's an 8-month process to hire and train a new officer before they're actually out on the street and have significant impact. So during that time, we run short. We have to fill those gaps with overtime, and that's a burnout effect on our personnel. So with our next academy class starting January 22nd, we are positioned to not only fill our 16 vacancies, but to fill our 5 that we anticipate will be in the first 2 quarters of the year, known and/or strongly anticipated vacancies, so that by the time the class graduates and gets on the street in August, the folks that have left between January and June-ish, those spots will be filled. We won't have those gaps. So we think this is an important opportunity, if we're allowed to overfill, to really get the full head out of the water and get to that point of full staffing. We, unlike some departments, have a strong applicant pool. We certainly don't want to turn these good candidates away. We'd like to take advantage of this. Assistant Chief Stefanowicz has sent Susan some financials showing the about $93,000 in benefit from the 5 new hires versus the anticipated positions that are there. In addition, we average retirements and resignations over the last 3 years, 22, and the last 5 years, 19. So to overfill 5 positions, you can go back 20 years, and we average 12. There is little doubt that the city would find ourselves in a position that we wouldn't use those 5 overfills. If something happens between now and January 22nd where we lose those additional candidates for the academy, obviously we wouldn't fill the approved overfill positions, but we believe we can accommodate 5.
Susan Thompson, how do you fill this gap or this increased expense?
Well, I worked a little with Travis, as the chief mentioned, so the numbers that he quoted assume that those 5 people retire or resign, and I think that's, some of those are given, other ones are estimates, so I have a little concern on that. Are we setting a precedent if we end up without them retiring and then we have a couple extra people above the approved roster? But the fact that the retirees typically are paid a lot higher than the new people coming on, when you do the math, it's kind of a wash, again, assuming we have the right retirements that match up with the refills. So that's what I've observed about this.
Your team is comfortable with it? I mean, why would we want the police force fully filled?
We do want the police force fully filled. Of course, we want all of our staff fully filled. But, I mean, from a budgeting process, this would be new. And as we budget, we've historically looked at vacancies, and we do build that into the budget. So we have that kind of baked into the budget for all departments, some vacancies. So if this...
So Chief, you won't need any new officers in 25 because you'll be fully filled in 24?
Nope, can't say that, because of something else. But and I forgot to add, we also got some medical issues too. So one person we know for sure is leaving 3 days after the class starts. I mean, it's, and so we've got a couple medical issues and retirements. And again, if you look at our 20-year average, which is 12, we're going to have 5 vacancies and probably more throughout the year. So with the time that it takes to train a new officer, we need some help here to help get, again, our head out of the water, get ahead of the curve. So we certainly appreciate that.
So we will have a traffic unit.
We'll have a traffic unit this fall of '24, yes.
And I suspect that the fines will go up, so we'll have increased revenue, is that right?
We're going to ask our legislators in 2025 for just that.
Okay. Commissioner Pepcorn?
So I have a question for Susan. So are you comfortable with the financial numbers that it will break even, or how do you?
Well, again, it depends on whether those resignations and retirements align. So I think what this group needs to agree on is to know that if that doesn't happen, there will be some overspend in this account, and are we comfortable with that?
So to me, I mean, we should know a number, and then, because as a finance committee, what the number is, even if it's an approximate number, I think that's the key thing. Because I think we all support that we know there's staff that come and go, that goes, but I just think especially from your perspective, we need to know what the number is and that we can fulfill that obligation if we approve it.
Well, the numbers that Travis prepared, he didn't look at benefits, just straight salary. But if you hire 5 new people for the 11 months When academy starts, it's $278,000, for example. So that would be the max that we would spend extra, assuming nobody retired. And then the estimates for the retired and the resignations, they're obviously a lot higher in step and grade. So assuming they would fall off the rolls in January through June, it was 371. So that's where he came up with his savings number. So conceptually, it could save some money. It just, there is a risk that we would be a little overstaffed if we don't have
And
retirements.
perhaps to
designated.
follow Commissioner Pepcorn, we could have a monthly report as we go through finance, just report back to us on that, just to tell us where we're sitting.
But the other thing is we have gotten different awards, federal and state, and so that could help as far as paying for that. Do you think that's a reasonable statement?
I don't know that there's any specific for this.
Well, I
No,
think
the-
especially for,
yes.
oh, go ahead.
I'm sorry, so just to address your question, that federal cops hiring grant for the 6 positions for the traffic safety unit is already included in our 16 vacancies. So we'll hire those folks January 22nd. But we've got, at least in this additional 5 that we anticipate, like one's going to be gone 2 days after the academy starts. We've got some medical leaves that are likely. We're very confident. And then looking at the numbers on average, and also in 2024, we have 16 more people who are retirement eligible.
Traditionally, it's usually been that you have the resignations and we hire, so we're usually 12 months behind. So this will be going into the summer, you'll be fully staffed.
Yeah, no, it would be a big help as we get out of the academy and we're able to absorb the vacancies that occurred while the academy was going on. It would be a big help.
Any other discussion? Did I do a first and second already? Oh, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Committee's got to be a little bit, let's get these motions out here. Let's get going here. Come on, guy. We might be done in record time like Pepcorn did one time in my commission meeting.
Can I just add real
23
quick
minutes.
that I do appreciate having the chief here, but I will say Joe Anderson was here last time and he brought lots of money. That was very impressive. And so, not to put any pressure on you, but we did enjoy that the last meeting.
I like to spread the love, let other people enjoy the love and stuff, so, yeah.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed?
Aye.
Motion carried. You want to confirm the meeting for the 29th? What was the concern on the 29th? We couldn't confirm it, or? Just that's the next meeting. Is that what you're doing?
Informational purpose.
Okay. Any other business? We stand adjourned.